Hi guys, another video, Kacper journey here and welcome. So today's video will be about timeless design in general and how to create timeless designs. And timeless designs are all about the things that look good even after a long period of time. So for example, you for sure know a lot of products that look timeless, and you can find example of that in all of your life. I believe there is some particular designs that are just eye-catching and just timeless in whatever the period it is. So in general, timeless design is all about the product itself. So if you are designing a product, make sure the look of it follows the function. So for example, if you are working on the look of a chair, let's say, or whatever the thing you are designing, focus at first on the things that are actually the prior for that. So if you are making a chair, make sure that it will be following the function of a chair. So for example, the chair is to sit. So yeah, you need to make all the form around the sitting itself, and it's the first thing. Make sure the form is good to a particular function. If you are making a website, make sure the function is the prior. So if you need to apply some forms, just focus on the, let's say, wireframes, like usually there is in the web design. Make sure that you are focusing on the function itself. The function are on point. You start with, let's say, zero design actually. Because if you start with design, you can go to wrong alley, let's say. So yeah, to find a good way, you need to focus first on the function. You need to build the function, you need to gather the things that will be needed in particular case, in particular product. And if you build the function itself, the function list, let's say, you will start from making the list of the functions. Then you will start working on the design that follow these functions that are need to be on point. And then you just starting to apply, let's say, rounded edges, for example, or just giving some personality. So yeah, in general, focus on functionality first, then we are going to next steps. So next steps are the, let's say, timeless pattern. For example, what I mean by timeless pattern, the timeless patterns are the things that no matter the time are looking okay or even good. So for example, that is the dot pattern. So if you are making a product that needs to have some kind of ventilation or something like that, you just giving the patterns that fit the functionalities. And yeah, you don't go too fancy with that. If you will go too fancy, it will be very soon probably looking old. So if you are need to have some ventilation, you just make, for example, the simple dot pattern or something like that. Make it as simple as it is possibly, and in general focus on that the whole pattern will be very simple. And as I heard from many people that are working around music design, the design in general, there are some patterns both in music, in the let's say mindful music, even in the design, that trigger your synapses in kind of weird way. So yeah, you need to find the pattern that trigger the synapses in this way. And what that way is, the way of this is that in your mind, let's say you give the pattern that is very repetitive and very calming for the eyes, for the ears. No matter you are designing, you need to find the patterns that are calming, because if the research shows that if you give the patterns in the design or in the music that are very, let's say, calming from the look, very timeless, let's say, very repetitive, it triggers the synapse in kind of way that chills the mind itself. So yeah, these timeless patterns are actually a good fit. Don't also overwhelm the, let's say, the visual after the functionality or the form. If you, for example, make a button, make it simple, make it looks okay. Don't go with fancy stuff, because fancy stuff getting old very soon. And that's example for my old page that I currently trying to repair in some kind of way. That I focus too much on the design itself and forgot about the form, and buttons on my side looking very odd, and even in a few cases, for example on the Microsoft Edge, they are not working properly. So yeah, that's my thing. I need to focus more also on the function at first, and then about the form that are timeless, let's say in general. Don't go too fancy. Fancy things are good for the pages that need to be not the timeless, but for example, need to have 1 year spent of the time. So yeah, if you want to have design that you design once and you have for example 10 years or even more, focus on simple design. Also you can go with the Swiss design, for example. Swiss design are very timeless in general, so yeah, it's very good way to go with that, especially the design of the visual things. Also remember, less is more. If you make less, don't apply too much details and go with the, let's say, rule of high contrast, low contrast. So you make high contrast things that are important, that are functionality in general, and low contrast things are the things that are only the details that don't give you functionality but give you the, let's say, the nice look for whole thing, that's the little touches, let's say. So yeah, don't overwhelm the user with the, let's say, 1000 things that are very contrasted. Contrast is important in the things that are an information that giving you a functionality, and you need to work on that and focus on the little things. You focus on the last thing as a last on your design, and in general you focus that they will not overwhelm the user. You need to make the details very subtle. Use timeless patterns and the fonts and in general something like that. So for example, if you are making the page, don't use too fancy fonts. You focus on the top 10 most popular, most timeless fonts, because the fonts of that will be in general the best choose if you want to go timeless with your website. Also with the patterns, if you are doing patterns around the, for example, knob, as I said before, focus on making that very subtle, very delicate, very universal, that it will be only about the functionality and don't overwhelm with the form. And at the last thing, it is personality. So you just taking this website, you can even go for let's say final touch designer. There is some kind of this rule in very it's not very common, but there is some person that are all about finishing, making final touches in general. So the personality is all about the thing that you are working on, the product that will be outstanding, let's say, from other things, but it will be very subtle touches. So for example, you give some kind of flow on your design, you give some, let's say you find two things that you wanted to change to give a bit personality. So for example, if you have this dotted pattern on the back side, you for example can change it to not dotted, but let's say other very personal, very designed, let's say, pattern that you can just change. But yeah, at first focus on making the whole product very timeless, very universal, and then you give a bit personality to outstand from the others product, because for sure there will be many that will make similar things. But yeah, you need to make the final touches on your product that will be outstanding, that will be specific for particular product, that nobody can just steal from you, let's say. So in general, that's it. Shortly, to make it timeless, focus on the form and the functionality. Functionality at first, form follows the functionality. Then, if you have functionality and the form on point, you apply the little patterns that are very subtle, very universal, that no matter the time will be quite okay. For example, you can even take a look for old design for 90s, 70s, even 50s that looks up to date even today. So you will find this particular thing that are very up to date even today. Remember, less is more. Less you give, let's say, details, more you will have. And high and low contrast. So yeah, high contrast for the things that are important, low contrast for the details that only giving the, let's say, personality in general. Use timeless fonts, timeless patterns, as I mentioned before. So yeah, don't go too fancy with that. Also, the thing that I forgot to mention about, Don't overwhelm the material, let's say. So for example, if you do something with aluminum metal, stay with aluminum metal color. If you really want to change the color, for example, to black, just anodize that. Use the colors that are very strict for particular design, because if you go to fancy, for example, white plastic, that get old very fast. White plastic have the issue that after the time UV change the color to more yellowish. So yeah, make sure that color follows the material. So yeah, don't go too fancy with the material color. Be natural in general with the color of your design. And of course, at last thing, give a bit of personality, but don't make it too overwhelming for the user. So change a little thing that will be the, let's say, individual personal sign for particular project, or you as a company, that will be very personalized. And yeah, everybody will see that it have a bit of twist in the form that is bit unexpected, but only a bit. Don't go too far with that. Yeah. So that's all. Thanks you guys. Stay tuned, keep follow, and yeah, see you in another video. Bye bye.